One day, as I scrolled through my YouTube recommendations, I stumbled upon an intriguing thumbnail. An older album cover featuring a Japanese man with perfectly slicked back hair falling through the sky. Normally I wouldn't have clicked on a random album from an unfamiliar artist, but something about the image was irresistible. I had to know more. This is the composer, producer and foremost guitarist Masayoshi Takanaka. He is one of the most carefree and joyful artists around today. His catalog is filled with albums that all evoke a sense of cheerfulness and a sort of nostalgic feeling for a lot of people, despite the fact that the majority of his fanbase wasn't even born when he was most active. Most of his songs are instrumental based, with some having simple lyrics, but it really doesn't need any vocals or deep lyrics. The music captures a sentiment that still makes you relate and feel by the instruments themselves. In a music industry increasingly dominated by packaged and branded content, Takanaka's work stands out as a pure, joyful escape. His music isn't about selling a product or anything, it's about evoking genuine emotions through sheer musicality. It isn't hard imagining the world that Takanaka conveys for yourself. It is purely about the jolliness and the music, something that's especially valuable today in an age where media and entertainment are often delivered with an already complete package. It is all about the music and the joyful, carefree guitar solos. Takanaka was popular among young adults who were swept up by the surfer movement in Japan in the 1970s. Japanese teenagers were increasingly exposed to American surf culture through movies such as The Endless Summer and the music of the Beach Boys. Surfing, just like in the Western world, became more than just a sport. It evolved into a lifestyle that embraced the fashion, music and laid-back attitude associated with surfing culture. The movement particularly appealed to the youth, who saw it as a form of rebellion and self-expression. Takanaka was one of these young adults, which is evident in his music. You can easily imagine his songs playing at one of those late 70s parties.
The party's just begun. The night is young. We could dance until the morning.
But Takanaka's musical journey didn't stop at surf culture. He's primarily a jazz fusion artist, but throughout his catalog he explores a wide range of different genres. There is one cohesive force that makes a Takanaka song unmistakably his. Cheerful guitar melodies packaged in a feel-good tropical vibe. Essentially, he incorporates anything that conveys joy and the vibe associated with the surfing culture he fell in love with when he was young. As young, Masayoshi lived for his music. Since his debut album Seychelles, released in 1976, he released an album every year up until 1990, all of them filled with quality. After playing in several bands during his teenage years, Takanaka made his solo debut with the album Seychelles, a title that perfectly encapsulates the essence of his music in the years to come. Seychelles is a stunning, funky fusion album that instantly brings a smile to your face, makes you savor the moment and perhaps even stirs a sense of longing. The album opens up with Takanaka's most popular track to date, O Tengo Suerte, a euphoric piece that transports you to carefree summer days and easy times. Through 3 layers of guitar, Takanaka begins crafting his world. A sunny psychedelic guitar that glimmers like a distant heat mirage. An acoustic guitar that mirrors the ocean's surface on a perfect day. And a melodic slide guitar that evokes the gentle breeze tousling your hair as you walk along the beach. Just listen and immerse yourself. A brief burst of Spanish vocals enters the mix near the end, giving the track its name, akin to a pair of dancers handing you a drink as they pass by.
Tengo suerte, yo compré un billete de ida para Seychelles.
In essence, Takanaka creates a paradise on this track, and it's safe to say he succeeds brilliantly. The same feeling is further captured in the next song, Tokyo Reggae, but more in an energetic way. The segment of vocals in this song translates to something about summer, two lovers, the wind and the sea, with strings following it casually. But the guitar segments are what captivate you. Takanaka's second album, An Insatiable High, captures the same joyful essence as Seychelles, but with a different tone. It is essentially Seychelles with a generous dose of groove and added fun. Among the standout tracks on this album, you'll find ESP, my personal favorite Takanaka song. ESP features quite a bit of singing for a Takanaka piece, yet it maintains a simple and enjoyable vibe, remaining an easy listen. The fully committed and euphoric vocals, the fantastic horn sections, and of course Takanaka's layered guitar solos make this song feel like a victory lap. It's as if Takanaka, depicted on the album cover, is about to finish a long race with all his friends, family, and his lover he can feel through ESP cheering him on.
I can feel it when you need me. Do you read me? Do you read me?
He doesn't just do energetic tracks. Songs like Malibu on this album capture more of a laid-back chilling by the beach vibe. On this track, Takanaka layers his beautiful guitar playing under a Rhodes keyboard and some string sections to create a mesmerizing scene. On his fourth album, Brazilian Skies, a little misspelled, Takanaka deals into the world of samba, which fits the jolliness of his music perfectly. He uses Brazilian style and instruments together with his guitar playing to create a perfect blend of samba and his Japanese jazz fusion sound. The track Beleza Pula showcases this perfectly, directly laying you down mentally on a sunny Brazilian beach. While we're at it, watch Takanaka convey the aesthetic during a live show, playing on one of his weird yet fitting guitars. After a sunny day at the beach, Takanaka also offers some songs to party to in the evening, with tracks like Nights and Disco B, the latter being a full-on disco track with a fantastic groove and a package of synths and riffs conveying the music of the 70s perfectly. Something interesting about Takanaka's catalog is that you can hear the influence of the specific style of the decade and era it was released in. The album Natsu Senkai was a later Takanaka album, released in the mid-80s, something you can hear throughout the project. One of my personal favorite Takanaka songs, Islands, is essentially the Takanaka sound blended with the 80s synth-pop vibe, which works seamlessly together. Listening to a Takanaka album, despite the absence of singing or traditional storytelling, feels like hearing the guitar speak with its own voice. It's as if the instruments themselves are narrating a story. I know it sounds cliché, but this is precisely what Takanaka aims to achieve. While his discography boasts over 30 acclaimed albums, the one project that stands out as truly unforgettable, enigmatic and masterfully executed is the electrifying concept album The Rainbow Goblins, released in 1981. On this project, Takanaka's instrumental storytelling reaches its zenith. It's a fantastic voyage of vibrant artwork and incredible fusion music, inspired by and adapted from the 1977 book of the same name. The album is part instrumental psychedelic jazz fusion and part storybook experience, unlike anything else. The whole concept is a remarkably original work of audiovisual art. English spoken prologues intertwine throughout the 12 tracks on the album, with each song advancing the enchanting narrative of the 7 Rainbow Goblins. Every composition showcases a phenomenal level of musicality and execution, making the album a standout in Takanaka's extensive catalog. Takanaka's music seamlessly acts as a soundtrack for the story, showcasing his music as a great storyteller.
Each goblin was named after his own colour: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet.
Lately, Takanaka, like many other Japanese jazz fusion artists, has experienced a resurgence in popularity thanks to YouTube's algorithms. Many, like myself, have stumbled upon his music and instantly fallen in love. But why has Takanaka become so popular among younger audiences today? I found Takanaka's music incredibly comforting and wondered what drew me to it so deeply. What was it about that All of Me YouTube video that captivated me and countless others? Upon reflection, the answer became clear. Jazz fusion, the genre Takanaka excels in, is remarkably similar to the music from classic Nintendo games of my childhood. Jazz fusion employs techniques and melodies frequently heard in video games. In fact, Koji Kondo, the legendary composer behind the soundtracks of numerous Mario, Zelda and many other video games, was a huge fan of artists in this genre, as many others were in Japan. A band called T-Square, then known as The Square, was one of the biggest in the genre besides Takanaka and some more. They released a track in 1984 that sounds very familiar. One year later, the Super Mario Bros. Game came out, packaged with Koji Kondo's famous soundtrack. During the 70s and 80s, jazz fusion not only permeated Japan, but also became ingrained in its pop culture. The Japanese embraced and adapted to it, with Takanaka being one of the artists who seamlessly blended jazz with their unique melodies and aesthetics. Jazz fusion was already popular in Japan, but it gained even more traction when its influence became evident in mainstream media, especially through legendary video games like Mario and Kirby and so on. This resulted in a rich discography of game music that echoed the same rhythms and progressions as Takanaka and his contemporaries, music that many of us grew up with. So if listening to Masayoshi Takanaka's music transports you back to simpler times, childhood memories and comforting moments, it's likely because his work was part of the inspirational foundation for the soundtrack of your youth.